Excuse me.
Anyways, we'll get to that. Thanks.
Now, to begin
there
with,
is one
you'll
person
need a
watching.
cage
Cool.
that can fit over your head and a sack of mole rats.
Alright, so the Sierra Madre. This is the location, or rather the goal of the Dead Money DLC. Checking out the Abandoned Brotherhood bunker has you stumbling into 2 rooms. The first one contains some kind of vending machine which recycles junk like cigarette packs and turns them into Sierra Madre chips. The chips can be redeemed for different food items from the looks of it. The other room contains a radio, some beds, and unconsciousness. As you pass out, you're informed of what exactly the Sierra Madre was. It was to be a grand casino set to open
Man,
right
I really
around
want
the
to get
time
one of those microphone stand things that can, like, hold my mic in
the
front of
bombs
me.
fell. Apparently now it's a desolate, death-filled
terrible when
area
it's on
that
my
draws
desk.
treasure hunters to it. But no one has infiltrated its walls. At least, not yet.
Not
When
yet.
you wake up, you're greeted by Father Elijah's face projected atop a fountain.
Father
He's the Brotherhood
Elijah.
elder who reportedly went insane after ordering his men to hold the Helios 1 power plant against certain death that the NCR was sure to bring upon them. He kindly informs you that you are now the proud owner of the latest model of explosive collar, a Brotherhood of Steel favorite. He then lets you know that your head is in danger if you don't follow his orders and round up 3 other prisoners to infiltrate the Sierra Madre. But the real kicker here is that if any of them die, everyone dies. This news is immediately followed by the fact that just an average radio speaker that's broadcasting can cause my collar to blow up, and that the red cloud surrounding the area is toxic and lethal to most life, and that the inhabitants here are mutated into monsters which can't be killed, only incapacitated, and that there are security holograms which are indestructible beyond switching off their transmitters. And all of my gear is gone because the security systems have stripped it from me. This DLC sounds like it would be better off with me just walking into a room and getting stabbed to death instead. My first ally that I'm to recruit is Dog. Dog is referred to as loyal with or without his collar, a super mutant who will listen to me as long as he isn't hungry. Further investigation via eavesdropping on Dog through the nearby radio signal tells me that he is in fact hungry, and that he hopes that the voice doesn't come back, which probably means that he's a schizophrenic nightkin. So crawling through this hazy red hell has me feeling a desire which I actually haven't felt much of in this game. Looting every single thing, including junk. Knowing how the vending machines work and the fact that I have no way to defend or heal myself does wonders in changing my perspective on looting. During this loot fest, a shambling green-eyed corpse saunters around, one of the former residents who is now immortal to some degree. I have to say, this doesn't even feel like a Fallout game at this point, but I'm really enjoying it more than I thought I would, for now. After sneaking by this immortal inhabitant, I make it to the police station where an alarm is sounding constantly. Inside is the aforementioned Dog who's trapped in a cage. When I investigate the building to try to free him, I'm directed by a voice to retrieve a tape and bring it back up to Dog. Upon playing the tape to him, his constantly hungry and saddened demeanor shifts to that of the voice which directed me to the tape. Dog's alternate persona is known as God. He appears to be the exact opposite of Dog, as his name suggests. Intelligent, clever, and calculating, God has locked himself in this cage as he felt Dog starting to take over from the hunger. When Dog is fed and satisfied, God comes out and assesses the situation. When God starts to become hungry, Dog comes out and listens to everything that Elijah tells him, actively trying to earn Elijah's affection and looking for his next meal. Chatting with God gleans a lot of information. That Elijah found this place and started forcibly recruiting people to do his work and get into the casino. That God has been hoping that Elijah would be the one to awaken him so that he could speak with him. That Dog has a voracious appetite that has caused him to accidentally eat an explosive collar off of someone's neck when he was feeding. And that the so-called ghosts around the area can only be killed off by being hacked into pieces, disintegrated, or eaten. And that they get distracted easily by the holograms. God seems to have no interest in talking to you specifically, but he does want Elijah. I'm guessing to try to free himself from this explosive in his stomach. The way that the two switch personalities is at a command which God has pre-recorded on the tape that he had you retrieve. On the other hand, to switch back to Dog, I simply have to play Elijah's voice on my Pip-Boy. Well, God has no intention of coming with you, to which you can respond to by simply playing Elijah's voice so that Dog doesn't eat you, and then telling Dog about the key which God hid around his neck. I considered this route, but I think I'd rather have God on my side like a good Christian boy. So I convinced God to come with me as is, and he tumultuously agrees for now, giving me a stealth bonus and the light step perk. This is where the DLC starts to sour a bit. So you build up this tense atmosphere of creepy, nearly invincible ghoulish ghosts. You take away my weapons and make me really want to start sneaking everywhere. And then you give me a partner who charges a ghost no matter what, completely obliterating any sort of intensity to navigating this area. And I'd be lying if I said that I didn't know this would happen. My initial instinct was to just send God back to the fountain, but I decided it would be fun to listen to him if he accompanied me.
The idiot swallowed his collar, almost got away. Then the idiot's hunger screws it up. It tastes like copper, or old world gold. It tastes like copper. That Pip-Boy, that Pip-Boy. Maybe that Pip-Boy. Maybe I'll tear it off your arm. Can't believe the idiot swallowed his collar. Wear it on my neck. That Pip-Boy. Maybe I'll tear it off your arm. Wear it on my neck.
I also figured that while Dog might mow down enemies, God would be more stealthy, seeing as his fucking perk gives you a bonus to sneak and light step. But nope, first thing that he does is just blast past me like a homing missile into the nearest ghost. And so now I'm like, oh gee whiz, I wonder if I should use a melee weapon because I'm afraid that other ghosts might hear a gun firing and we'll get swarmed. Mind you, I have 20 points in melee weapons and 100 points in guns. These things fucking crumple when I beat the shit out of them with a lead pipe. I am now playing a lesser version of BioShock. So eventually we loudly drudge our way through the hazy red town, disarming traps and all that. When we make it to our next ally, it turns out to be Dean Domino, who you hear singing on the radio often. He seems very clever and careful, having you sit down on a shaped explosive charge and commanding you to help him get into the Sierra Madre. Since I already have God with me, he runs off to the fountain, and it's off to find the final collared ally. I just wish God would stop saying the same lines over and over and over again. I mean, he says them so frequently that he interrupts his own
Out
dialogue.
of context, that could be...
Tell me my name when needed.
God, stop telling me, okay? I get it! Don't kill people! We get it, okay? I know we keep doing it, but we
Dean
get it!
himself has a disappointing absence of unique dialogue. Don't get me
Hiya,
wrong, the guy has
Taskbot
plenty to tell
123.
you in an aggressively sarcastic tone. But the stuff that he does tell you is stuff that you know already. The cloud is bad, ghost people bad, vending machines good, Sierra Madres for greedy people. All that kind of stuff. He makes a particular point to repeat that the ghost people are savage monsters that shouldn't be fucked with. But the reality of the situation is that for the courier, they're just kind of pests. At any rate, to the next caller. This is Christine. She was locked up in a malfunctioning autodock with her vocal cords cut, rendering her mute. Through a series of advanced Naruto hand gestures, you convey to her that your collars are linked, and she uses universal sign language to tell you, alright fam, I'll meet you at the fountain. She also comes back and interpretive dances a signal which relays to you that her collar frequency actually dampens the radio signals which can blow your collars up so long as you're within range of each other. Talking to Christine more at the fountain reveals that she used to be a Brotherhood scribe, and that she was separated from her female lover by Elijah. I only mentioned that it was a female because Veronica told me a somewhat similar story, which makes me think that this was maybe her long-lost lover.
Oh,
I
damn!
also figure out that her vocal cord wounds were a result of the autodock repeatedly operating over and over, and she mimes back that she was knocked out and shoved in there, and that she refuses to use another one to repair her wounds because she's scared of autodocks now.
No shit.
Unfortunately, this whole situation is pretty marred by the amount of reading that you have to do, because her model certainly isn't pantomiming any of the actions that the script is telling you about. It wouldn't be as big of an issue if the longer blocks of text
like
didn't
a
go quicker than I'd like,
blank
and it
Barbie
makes
doll.
even less sense when the shorter blocks of text take so long that I click them away a lot of the time. It just doesn't seem like it would be overly hard to have her perform these actions, but we're talking about the finest 2010 technology that Bethesda had to offer Obsidian at the time, which was honestly closer to subpar 2007 technology, really. Then again, these ghost people hop around like they're from a different game completely, so I think the tech was there. Oh well. After all this, you talk to Elijah, who commands you to position everyone to trigger the gala event, which marks the opening of the casino. As he explains
Just like
it,
a
the
big
event was supposed to
explosion.
be the only thing which caused the Sierra Madre to open its doors, and as such needed a team of people to begin. Speaking with God after this reveals that Dog used to be under the command of the Master from Fallout 1. He would obey without question, and it hurt God to see Dog being ordered to hurt and kill people and him just doing it without hesitation. He's upset with Elijah because Elijah's orders were the first commands which Dog listened to since then. God wants Dog to be free, to be able to live without following orders and hurting others, which is surprisingly sad for someone who keeps muttering about wanting to rip the Pip-Boy off my body.
Fallout New Vegas,
Weirdly
like
enough,
the Obsidian
God says that he
team,
wants
just
to
like,
trigger the
because
events
they
when
worked on the
Elijah
past
comes out,
Fallouts, they knew
but
how
he
to link
refuses
these
to do
things
so,
back
telling
to
you
it
have
so
Dog obey
well.
instead.
There's so many
I guess
little, like,
Dog's the one who has the
threads
strength to
that
do what
you can
needs
trace
to be
back to
done,
Fallout
but
1
it's
and
kinda weird
2
that God
from
outright
Fallout New
refuses
Vegas.
to do
It's
the thing
great.
that Elijah will appear for. I don't know. What's more interesting here is that Dog mentions that the gala event has been triggered once already, and that Elijah disappeared at the time. Makes me think that he's probably already in the casino. After guiding Dog over to the switches that he needs to pull and having God come out to do so, I return back to Dean, who corroborates my idea that Elijah is in fact trapped within the Sierra Madre. Seeing as the gala event runs off the casino's power, it also causes the security system to diminish when it's going off. This would give some people enough time to slip into the casino, but would also lock them in once the power was restored back to full. Dean also mentions that he feels like anyone could take his place in this particular endeavor, and that his role won't be particularly unique by any means. To me, it sounds like he'll be a distraction of sorts.
It's like a Ocean's 11 heist in Fallout.
Ghost people. Fortunately for me, Dog taught me earlier how to permanently kill off the ghost people, which only further reduces their laughable threat to zero despite them being made out to be these unstoppable boogeymen.
If we go backstage, we avoid the locals.
After getting to the end goal here, Dean is to start up the speaker system as part of the gala, which he adamantly declines, stating that swarms of ghost people would be on him immediately. I tell him that I'll get some holograms going for him because after all, if he dies, I die. Howard Dean's wacky adventure concludes after I switch on 2 grams and scoot off to Christine. Well, Christine doesn't have much to say, so we head straight to where she needs to be, which has her putting her technical knowledge to the test at the switching station. For someone who can't talk, her personality is actually pretty cute, a lot like Veronica's. Her area makes use of the delayed explosions perk, as radios are constantly popping up and trying to blow your head clean off your body. It wraps up the design aspect of the 3 separate objectives pretty well, as Dean's area has more gas than traps and ghosts, and Dog's area has more traps and ghosts than gas and radios. I'm not crazy about the area design, but I guess I wouldn't say it's bad either. After you get everyone in place, you're to climb the bell tower to kick off the gala. The way to the bell tower is, well, it's like everywhere else in this place. Ghosts, radios, bear traps out the ass. It's pretty wearying at this point, as the inspiration to this place has gotten pretty excessive. Don't get me wrong, lots of cool ideas and premise are here, but it just gets old after a while. The only thing that's really keeping me occupied at this stage is getting into the Sierra Madre. I guess something more interesting to note is the fact that even back when this thing was set to open, a grand heist was in the works by some of the maintenance workers, which is a nice touch. Apparently, even back in the day, greed was a big driving factor with the Madre. So anyways, I get to the top and kick this whole thing off.
You want to send me a
The
video?
entire
Yeah.
place starts swarming with ghost people. I'm pretty low on ammo at this point, so I have to duck a few of them before shooting my way out. When I make it to the casino, I get knocked out again.
Yeah, I guess just
When
post
I
the link
awaken,
here.
Elijah speaks to me
Unless
and
you're
tells
on
me
the
that I need to
Discord,
shut
then
down the
send it
security
to the
protocols
Discord.
and get the casino functioning as if it were open. To do this, I have to sneak by these security holograms, resetting their patrols and eventually disabling them. A terminal in the back tells me about an incident where an elderly woman started climbing the rafters and fucking around, which gives me a hint as to where one of these hologram projectors are. After shutting them both down, I'm able to freely move around the casino, except that my companions are located on separate floors. Their collars are interfering with the different mechanisms which fully allowed the casino to open, and the so-called prize is located in the basement of the Sierra Madre. So Elijah directs me to either reset their collars or kill them. He heavily recommends the latter as they're quote-unquote of no use anymore. I don't think that's what I'm gonna do here. Well, the first companion is Dog/God again. He's going through a bit of a psychotic break as Dog is trying to burn the casino down, hopefully killing himself in the process. God, on the other hand, is trying to stop him and protect him, trying to explain how he's always tried to protect him. Dog is fed up with being controlled and would rather die than continue living this way. When I actually get to him and I get spotted, Dog strikes a match, causing the now open gas valves to ignite and kill us both.
Oh no!
If I can get to him and talk to him first instead, God attempts to get Dog to kill me so that he can't be controlled anymore. Weirdly enough, for everything that God has said to Dog while you were listening in before, God seems pretty content with his death here if it means burning Elijah with him. It's kind of a 180 on that whole sentiment from before, but alright. Through some speech checks, I'm able to help Dog and God see each other, and allow their personalities to merge into a new being. Thankfully not named Guguda or Doggod or something.
Doggod?
The newly whole personality thanks
Hey,
me
I know a
even though he's
Doggod.
forgotten me
I
and
call
where
her
he
Corone.
is. He's unsure of what's happening, but he knows that I've helped him somehow, and now focuses on how weary his body is from the extended torture which was inflicted onto it by Dog in an effort to shut out his more intelligent side. That was really cool. I actually like this outcome a lot. The unfortunate part that follows is the fact that ghosts have now broken into the casino because Lord knows that nothing makes what you're experiencing in a video game 200% more interesting than fucking zombies. So next up is Dean Domino. He's locked up in the backstage, surrounded by security holograms who aren't too friendly. I'm to sneak around, take out the radios, grab a holotape of one of Dean's performances, and then play it to deactivate the security. Midway through, I find a blackmail tape of Dean urging the girl whose hologram has appeared everywhere around here to continue with their plan in a pretty hostile way. After catching up with Dean, the whole picture is painted by him. Vera is the girl's name who's been mentioned quite a lot around here, because apparently Sinclair,
Or
the
how
guy who
I'm the
built this
JoJo
place,
Kami.
built it for her. He was madly enraptured by her and built the entire area as a monument to his love for her. Dean was the one who introduced them and got her to basically wrap Sinclair around her little finger. The entire purpose was to rob the casino blind and then make off like the bandits that they were. You see, Dean Domino is a complete and utter asshole, a rotten person to his core. The entire reason that he wanted to destroy everything that Sinclair was, everything that he built, was because Sinclair always had a positive attitude. He felt that no matter what happened to him, he could always rebuild and make things good again. Dean took that as Sinclair being incredibly self-absorbed and egotistical to a degree which made him feel like he was better than everyone else around him, but most importantly, like he was better than Dean. Though I obviously haven't met Sinclair, the irony here is that Dean is easily one of the most self-important people in the game. On top of this, Dean admits that he was the one who dragged Christine's body away and put her into the autodoc to sever her vocal cords, just so that when she eventually recovered, she would sound exactly like Vera did. You see, when this place was built for Vera, her voice was the key which could access all of the important bits of the Sierra Madre, including its vault below. After spending some time with Sinclair, Vera felt like he was too nice of a guy to go through with this heist, which incurred the wrath of Dean to a point of blackmailing her with footage of her getting high on chems as a Hollywood actress. Obviously, the bombs falling thwarted the whole plan until Elijah and I came along, and Dean decided that either piecing together Vera's voice with various old footage or using Christine would work to continue the heist.
I like that
left
better.
off.
Now the video's
If Dean
a lot
decided
nicer
to get
size.
confrontational, I probably would have blown his head off at this point. But as it stands, he gave me the key and I decided to leave him be. I don't know why the devs decided to put this loud popping audio filter on Elijah's voice, but sweet fuck, it hurts my ears at full volume.
Oh no.
What a shitty decision. It's not like it's immersive or anything. Well, Christine's voice has recovered in the form of Vera's at this point, as she talks to you over the intercom for the first time upon reaching her floor, informing you of the hologram security's presence around the area. Well, it isn't normal security. It's a recording of Vera's last moments sealed away after the bombs fell. And it is fucking creepy. I'm telling you, seeing some dipshit guard hologram throwing its hands up like it's having an aneurysm is absolutely nothing compared to listening to this girl plead for her life, following you around, calling you Sinclair. Good God. Eventually, I do activate a terminal to stop the Veragrams from attacking me and find Christine. Now that she can talk, it's a lot easier to have a full conversation. She explains that she's been tracking Elijah for a while now, that he went nuts at one point and began committing horrible crimes across the wasteland, one of which was trapping
As you
her
do
inside
when
an
you're a
old
Brotherhood
medical
of Steel.
facility and performing experiments on her until she couldn't read or write anymore. She can still do math, but everything else seems to be out. She also alludes to another DLC character that I have very minimal knowledge of, which she describes as a courier who rescued her. Interestingly enough, she doesn't actually seem upset when I inform her what Dean did to her, stating that she's done much worse for lesser reasons. Cold-blooded, man. I retrieve the key from her, and now it's finally time to confront Elijah. After maneuvering through the area's final set of radios and holograms, I reach the vault where a message to Vera from Sinclair awaits on the terminal front and center. Turns out that Vera told Sinclair about the heist which Dean put her up to, which Sinclair already knew about ahead of time anyways. He knew that she didn't love him the same way that he loved her, but he still persevered and created a place to protect her from the bombs. Unfortunately, she didn't figure out how to access the vault for safety. Not that it really would have mattered, seeing as help never arrived anyways. It's a pretty sad story, but very human. Shortly after, Elijah shows up on the intercom and tells you not to move any further, and that the vault's riches were his and his alone, just as Christine predicted. The dialogue with Elijah is pretty interesting. For one, he gives you shit for mindlessly following what your Pip-Boy tells you to do, which is hilariously meta because going back to something like Morrowind with no compass markers is a very hard adaptation for me personally after playing so many hours of more modern games. But then old Elijah goes off the deep end after this, raving about spreading the cloud of death over all of the Mojave, killing everyone with ghost people and holograms until only he's alive.
Man.
What the fuck? I get that he's supposed to have lost his mind, but how does he go from
kill it all! Kill it all! Murder! Death! Fire!
What a shitty generic motivation. Then he goes, what I really wanted from this place was the weapons and security. Plus the holograms are like the greatest weapon ever, dude. Just wind one up and look at it go. Except you can just shoot the projector and the thing will yee its last haw. So I'm not sure it's as powerful as he's hoping for. Then he talks about using the Madre's vending machines to start a new nation after decimating the Mojave. This is a little more interesting of a motive, but he also mentions that the collars are what will keep people in line. That by fitting everyone with explosive collars, he can start a civilization where everyone cooperates. He explains that he more or less learned how to control basic human greed, as the first sets of people that he made go through this process kept killing each other despite the collars being around their necks. So he linked them all to make them cooperate instead. Which, okay, so you say you cracked human greed by linking collars. Sure. Now you want to start a nation with the same idea. How? Humans apparently will kill each other if they aren't linked. But if you linked every fucking person in the nation,
just slavery?
Then one person's death would be the death of the whole nation.
Yeah.
Even if you did it in cells of 10 people who are linked, all it takes is one asshole from another cell to pop off 10 people in one shot. None of this makes sense.
Also,
it's honestly like the devs went, hey, look at all this cool shit that we put into this DLC, and make all of it part of his motivation. Anyways, I talk Elijah into coming down after he threatens to leave me here until he can test the vault security measures by sending people in
human
here
greed
until
actually
he's absolutely sure that
not
I
bad
won't be useful
sometimes.
Anymore.
Sometimes being
From
greedy
here I can face him in combat,
can
or I
save
can
you in the long
hoof
run.
it out of the vault, locking him inside.
All depends on
I
circumstance.
opted for the latter, leaving him to his fate.
And greedy can be a matter of
the
perspective.
end reel plays out, showing that Dog went on to wander while occasionally thanking the courier despite not really knowing what he did. Dean left the Madre to try to pilfer New Vegas's casinos instead, which is odd because I was under the impression that the guy wanted to rob the Sierra Madre mostly because Sinclair was the one who built it, not simply because it was a casino. I mean, Dean Domino was super rich and famous. It makes no sense. It's like they forgot their own motivation for this guy. And then finally, Christine decided to stay behind and become the warden of the Sierra Madre, protecting it from outsiders and eventually becoming akin to a god among the ghost people, which is super badass. A lot of the ending dialogue makes mention of the Divide, which I know is another DLC area. I guess it's kind of neat that it previews what you'll run
this
into
video
out there,
is
but
a guy
I'd honestly
talking
rather
about
have no
Fallout New
preview into
Vegas
other
DLC.
DLCs. It's just my personal preference as someone who likes to go into these things totally blind.
So it's just like a
What sucks is
revisit
that I
of
can't tell
Fallout
Veronica about
DLC.
Christine
I'm just
at
curious
all,
what he
but
says
I
about
can
it.
tell her about Elijah. She watches the message that Elijah left her and basically sums
And
it
there's
up as
one I
a
haven't
lie.
played, so I want to see
Also,
what it's like.
apparently he taught her how to fight better too. What a strange message. Well, goodbye forever. Also, here's a boxing lesson. What's really cool about this whole thing is the amount of endings that there are to this one DLC. You've got the standard stuff, but then you've got the trap for Dean. It's interesting because there's two messages on this terminal, right? And one of them is his personal accounts, which was the trap for Dean that was supposed to lock him in. But the other one is a message to Vera basically saying, hey, don't read my personal accounts because that's a trap that's going to lock Dean in. Don't read them. You're kind of taking a 50-50 shot of Dean opening up the first one and actually reading through it, or just going straight for the personal accounts. And then the other ending happens if my reputation with the NCR is low enough. In this one, I get to conquer the Mojave alongside Elijah with his made-up Fantasyland Star Wars bullshit. Even if I don't really agree with the endings, it is a nice touch to have them there. Personally, I thought I would dislike Dead Money. And while it isn't my favorite, it isn't that bad either. I got pretty bored with the Red Cloud area of town and its back-and-forth fetch quests, but I had a lot of fun with the casino itself. I think the big bad ghost enemies are laughable, especially when you can just kill them later, and I always found the holograms to be more intimidating. The thing about Dead Money is that it's set up to be a pretty brutal challenge. They strip you down, make you start over, and then they kind of give you everything that you need to win anyways. And I'm not saying that they needed to make it some ridiculous struggle, but I'd say after the first 15 to 20 minutes I was pretty well off on equipment. I mean shit, I think I printed like 40 stim packs with the Madre chips and wound up using maybe 10 of them. I like the characters, especially Dog. All of the story elements were pretty damn fun, from Dean and his pettiness leading him to fuck up Christine's voice, to Christine staying behind and becoming this goddess among the dead, to God trying his best to help his other half. What I didn't like was unfortunately the main payoff for the entire thing, Elijah's motivations and plans. I get that he went crazy, but I feel like just going, oh, he's fucking nuts now, is kind of a cop-out, instead of writing a story that actually makes me consider joining him, or at least understanding him. I will say that it was kind of amusing hearing him rapidly sprint through the 5 stages of grief afterwards over the radio signal, though.
I have other weapons, other technology I can share with you. The collars were a mistake. I see that now. Why would I kill you? After all you've done, after all we've done together. Make your own army.
Stupid mouse.
And if others disagree, put collars on them. Can't end like this. I know you can hear me. When you die, Korea.
God. I don't know what is wrong with my wireless mouse. It's like not staying connected, so when I click, it's like...
But either way, let's carry on to the next installment, Honest Hearts. So Honest Hearts takes up north in Utah. You're told about the Happy Trails Caravan Company organizing an
Spoiler
expedition
alert,
up there
it's not a happy trail.
The silkiest, smoothest 11:59 p.m. voice in the whole game, Jed Masterson. You may actually recognize his voice as the entire local population in GTA 5.
Huh. I do believe you could. Ogden's just found yourself a new Canaanite translator. Most of them don't even speak English anymore.
His radio message tells you that they're looking for people who know what they're doing. Caravan guards, prospectors, and couriers for some reason. Plus, whoever has a Pip-Boy is someone they're especially looking for. Honestly, all they really needed to say was that they needed someone who's been shot in the head and lived for this to suit me any more than it already does. Well, when you arrive at the cave up north, Jed fills you in a little more about the upcoming excursion into Utah. He says the goal is to reach Zion and New Canaan, with bonus pay for doing both. But the kicker here is that he tells you not to mention Joshua Graham at all. Graham was Caesar's right-hand man, from what I know, before he failed at something crucial and was set on fire and left to die. His name was stripped from their history and he was only referred to as the Burned Man from then onwards. Jed tells you that his name scares the shit out of the tribals around the Utah area, and that it makes everyone in New Canaan uncomfortable. Jed then tells you that their route to Salt Lake City got cut off, and that the people of New Canaan stem from some old religious group. Knowing anything about religions in Utah, I'd place my money on Mormonism here. Jed doesn't know about it himself and hasn't actually set foot in the area beyond the outskirts, which explains why he wanted access to a Pip-Boy so badly for navigation. The final thing that he mentions is that Utah is completely untamed, packed with roving gangs of raiders, tribals, and warlords.
Hell, even Arizona under Caesar is safer.
He does state that we'll try to avoid all that, but I'm guessing that won't last long. Beyond Jed Masterson is uninspired caravan guard number 1 and her sidekick Fantastic 2.
You looking for trouble, bud? I got plenty to spare. You want to know what I do, bud? Anything I fucking want. I'm a fucking storm of death. Once, I got jumped by 3 death jaws. They're like death claws, but bigger teeth. I grew a 3rd nut that glows in the dark.
Yeah,
they're like death claws, but bigger teeth.
And it doesn't even function. So I get the option to boot him out of the caravan or make him carry my shit. I think I'll opt for the latter. It might be fun having this psycho-fueled spud around. Last thing to worry about is unfortunately my weight limit. Just like real life. Apparently you need to have under 100 weight to go on the expedition, so my big heavy armor plans are once again foiled. If only this poor guy knew just how quickly I moved without it. He's gonna rue the day that I make it to New Canaan in 2 seconds flat. Alright, enough of the preamble. Here's some different preamble instead. So Joshua Graham was a New Canaanite. He was said to be the most ruthless and sadistic member of Caesar's legion, one who easily asserted his dominance among the legion's ranks. The rest of New Canaan was a pretty tough group who looked out for one another and didn't mind trading with others.
Oh my god, how do I have 5 people watching me? I don't even know what I'm doing. Thank you guys so much.
Well, old Josh got his cheeks beat at the first battle of
Oh my
Hoover Dam,
goodness.
and Caesar decided to make an example of him by covering him in pitch, lighting him on fire, and throwing him off the Grand Canyon.
You guys are all wonderful.
This
I
fucker
can't
somehow
believe
lived,
people just want to
supposedly,
watch me,
carrying
like,
on as the Burned Man
just
and
chill,
roaming
have
his home in
fun,
Utah
chat.
since. After that,
It's awesome,
Caesar's done
thank
his
you.
best to erase Graham's name and his new moniker from history, which is pretty sweet foreshadowing from the devs, and a pretty telling weakness about Caesar.
It takes a
Someone who's
while
this
to
ruthless,
have people
forbidding a
watch, I
name
think,
to be
and
spoken of aloud actually
you gotta
makes him
be
look like he's
really...
afraid of Graham.
You almost have to be a little aggressive about
like
it,
the look
like,
of Zion.
post your
It's one of the best
streams in a
things
lot of
about
places,
DLC in these
network.
games, the experimentation with
Biggest thing I
settings.
would say is meet
Anyways,
other
you know how I
streamers,
took all that time
and
talking to these guys and
you gotta be
getting
part
to
of the
know them
community.
and
There's no way
learning
you
their
can stream if
backgrounds?
you're not,
Yeah, they're
like, a
fucking
little
dead.
community
These
about
members
stuff.
of the White Legs tribe come out and just
A little
dome them
community
all.
about stuff.
And I return the
Communalite,
favor.
I think I meant.
Something tells me the difficulty of this DLC is a
Oh, I
bit
love that
toned down
rifle,
from
the
Dead
Gobi
Money,
campaign
seeing as,
rifle. That's my
actually
favorite gun
one-shot
in
them
all
no
of
matter
Fallout
where
New
I hit them.
Vegas.
Poor Ricky. Dude ain't even carried my stuff yet. I also feel like this DLC is moving quick.
Oh,
Seeing as
Ricky.
resident Native American Follows Chalk pops out right away and goes, "Yeehaw, come speak to Joshua Graham." Yeah, alright, dude.
I
This
forget,
guy's
are they
companion
actually
perk allows me
Navajo?
to Far Cry 3 my way up to beacons and reveal part of the map, which is cool, I guess. I mean, I never use it, but still, it's cool.
Or were they
So
Pueblo?
Chalk fills you in on what's been going on around here. He talks about the Bighorners getting pissed because one of their young is missing. He discusses how he's not yet a full-fledged scout. But most importantly, he tells you about Graham and Caesar. Basically, Graham found the Dead Horse tribe when he was still with Caesar, and he's now a part
But
of
yeah, streaming is,
it. After his defeat and his return, he was a changed man who decided to lead the Dead Horse tribe away from the Legion to become
it's
their own
still
entity.
a crazy
Well,
game.
the White Legs came down from the Salt Lake area and just rolled over
But
New
it's
Canaan, which again
sort of
fits into
still
the theme
open
of
for
everything you know
everyone,
about this DLC
so-
changing at a rapid pace. At any rate,
That's
let's
kind of
head
nice.
out.
It's a little bit less
Don't
like
mind getting wet.
other industries where it's really hard
I
to
know
get
this sounds
into. But
really silly.
I mean, it's
but my
entertainment, and
mind was
entertainment is
blown
fundamentally
when the weather changed to rain without any
about
mods.
just
Maybe I'm just easily
having
impressed, I don't
fun,
know.
doing
I
what
just
you
really love
want,
rain in video
and
games, man.
if
So
you
we
can
make it
make
to the
money,
Dead Horses,
good,
you
but
greet me by sending this
most of the
goofball out
time
to
you just
live
gotta do it
ecstatically
because
and
you
then run
enjoy
back
it,
into the cave.
and
When I make it in, this girl speaks German at me,
Auslander.
and then directs me to the back of the cave to meet Joshua Graham. He
Auslander.
immediately gives me the Fallout welcome by sending me out on a fat fetch quest for pre-war stuff. He also
Oh, I
keeps
tried to do
checking
these
his
streams
stock
with
of
programs like
pistols
VUP
repeatedly.
crashes when
It's
I
a
put
cool
my
animation
camera
to see in a
and
2010 to
VMagic
2011
mirror doesn't
Bethesda
open.
published game, but
Yeah,
it
it
loses
can
its
take some
shine when you
time to
realize that he's
troubleshoot
not
and
picking up a
find
new gun from the
a
pile
capture
every
method
time.
that works for
Graham
you.
also fills you in a little more about what happened here, but
But
doesn't get
I
into a lot
mean,
of
you can also
specifics,
just
so we'll
use
skip talking
just a
about
still
that for now.
picture if you're having
What
trouble
he
with
does
that.
tell you is that there are
So
4 tribes that live here, one of which consists of only him and a man named Daniel, who was around
again,
when
like you
New
just got to
Canaan
figure out
fell to
what
the White
works. I
Legs.
mean,
Graham won't talk
some
about
people can
himself beyond the
stream
fact that
without
he's very
anything. Like they
religious,
just
at least
only
not
have the
until I know
game
about
and they're just
Daniel.
playing the game and
But
talking.
first, I actually have some
And
side
I
quests
think
to do
that's
in this
fine.
DLC. After communicating with the locals here in the Dead Horse tribe,
Like this guy is playing this game and it's just him talking and playing, and I still feel like there's a personality coming through. Sometimes it's a little random
I
too.
swung
Like
out to try to
you
take
just
care
you
of
just
this
find
big
that one
Warner
person
issue.
you like and you just keep watching their videos, and it's
is there
just
a
like
particular reason why everything's
Yeah,
a
you just do.
radioactive green out
Yeah.
here? Weird. Anyways, the Big Horner quest is pretty short and cute. You find this little fella out here and you give him some banana yucca to follow you a few times and then cart them back to their mom. Then it's off to search for pre-war parts. This has me scavenging some parts from a school bus full of dead kiddos, an old lodge, a general store, and a ranger station. It's funny to watch Cazadors have these obviously flying capabilities, but then being restricted to one plane of movement. After this, it's off to Daniel with all of my cool supplies. Daniel is more or less the leader of the Sorrows, and Graham is the leader of the dead horses. When I get to Sorrow's territory, a lady greets me by chasing me through their camp and lets me know how I'm welcome and how English is a holy language to them and lots of other dull and boring info. I'm not trying to be purposefully dismissive here, I just don't have a lot of interest in this particular set of factions, at least not yet. I do really like the landscape though, it's definitely one of the prettier parts of a Fallout game that I've traversed. When I finally do meet Daniel, he gives me that same kind of God is good, save all people, everyone is innocent and can be saved kind of Mormon stuff. He tells me that he's basically a pacifist for the most part until Whitelegs attack directly, then he'll defend the Sorrows. He believes that attacking the Whitelegs and fighting back will only lead to the Sorrows being a more warlike tribe instead of them maintaining their innocence. He also explains that Caesar is the one prodding the Whitelegs to eliminate all of the new Canaanites. I imagine to spite Joshua Graham. Good God, if you wanted to be this efficient with your destruction of someone, why wouldn't you just slit the guy's throat or something? I mean, sure, no one would expect an on-fire guy tossed into a canyon to survive, but it seems more likely than a bullet to the head. Oh, wait. Anyways, Daniel wants to get the Sorrows out of the lodge and further east where it's too wild for the Whitelegs to pursue them. My part in this is locating a map of an area further east, known as the Grand Staircase. In addition to this, I get some more side quests which involve me dealing with some Whitelegs camps and taking out some Yao Guai. I'm to take the lady from before, Waking Cloud, with me on this endeavor. Her perk decreases the perception of Whitelegs, which is actually pretty unique in that it doesn't simply give me a stealth increase. On my way out, Graham drops the sickest biblical lyrics that Utah has to offer, which basically translate to, Daniel's a little bitch trying to flee from this place. We should go fuck up the Whitelegs and keep Zion for ourselves instead. Righteous. I'll deal with that later, I got big mutated bears to blast. After collapsing the cave, I go to smoke the Whiteleg camps. There's also a pacifist route here which has me taking their war totems instead. Waking Cloud tells me that if something happens to their totems, they believe that the war excursion is doomed to fail, and that they'll retreat for now.
Flag captured.
Before I go for the map of the Grand Staircase, I want to pay a visit to the shaman here who can teach me how to stick my hand into a deceased bear's claw and use it like a boxing glove.
How's the audio mix? Is the video drowning out my voice, or is my voice over top?
This guy wants me to
take drugs, kill a bear.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's Joe Rogan.
Wait,
it's literally Joe Rogan.
Tea is strong. Tea is bitter. Wisdom is strong.
They put Joe Rogan into New Vegas. Oh my God.
You see?
A bear.
You go to cave, find ghost of she, lay ghost to rest. This your quest.
A bear.
Here, take. Gift.
I love it when games
Well, that
make
was
you take hallucinogens and everything just turns
the
blurry.
Grand Staircase, there's really only a handful of side quests.
It's like you can really tell when the developers haven't done drugs.
This really only entails some talking to your two companions.
Oh, the
and
audio is
two
perfect. Good.
Really nothing extraordinarily unique by any stretch of the imagination. What is interesting is the background information which Graham finally gives me. Although he doesn't explain.
Eventually, I want to get set up so I can have a monitor myself, so I know for sure. But I'm doing a very, I guess I can't say minimal setup because I mean, if you can stream, you have a decent setup to begin with.
Joshua basically says that he trekked for 3 months after being burned all the way back to New Canaan, where everyone accepted him again. Which is odd considering what Jed told me earlier about not mentioning him. Then again, he never set foot in there apparently. I don't know. He also tells you that while he thinks higher of,
and it's just all little things I want to nitpick and make better.
He believes that they're a very flawed group that values money and personal gain more than giving to those in need. Graham also briefly likens House to the Legion in the manner of how he dealt with nearby tribes, and mentions both the Divide and the Big Empty as places which the NCR had to deal with in order to get reinforcements and supplies to the First Battle of Hoover Dam. I'm pretty excited to get to those because I gotta be honest here, I'm not a fan of Honest Hearts. Probably even less so than Dead Money. Don't get me wrong, the area is beautiful like I mentioned before, but the story is very boring. I was hoping that Joshua Graham would be some kind of super interesting character who was out here trying to rebuild himself to maybe somehow get back at Caesar, or something along those lines. Maybe that was just too anime to hope for. But honestly, the
too anime to hope for.
Canyon,
Story of my life.
The anime levels were already.
I thought I was gonna have a waifu when I left high school, but that was too anime to hope for.
Evacuating the valley or siding with Graham and not being a bitch about.
I thought I'd have a maid.
You've got
but
two entire tribes.
that was too anime
a courier
to
who's
hope for.
proven himself ridiculously capable, and a man who used to lead the Legion's men. And you're gonna run away from what's essentially paradise to hide in some overgrown woods? It makes no sense. And then on top of that, this guy's all self-righteous about following God and protecting people's innocence while doing shit like hiding the fact that Waking Cloud's husband is dead because he doesn't want her to be less effective.
Isn't she right there?
Unbelievable, and I see no
She's right
reason
behind
to
him. Don't tell Waking Cloud.
So the grand finale for Joshua's side goes like this. Sneak attack, sneak attack, sneak attack, falling rock, sneak attack. Kill the war chief. I mean, it was Fallout combat. There's not much more to be said about it. You can choose to spare this salt upon wounds guy if you want, but I had to prove I was the better salt, so I gave him the old 1-2 buckle my shoe. And that's it, man. The ending slideshow plays out and tells you how the two tribes united and killed off the Whitelegs, eventually becoming more militaristic in nature. This killed Daniel inside, and he went back home with regrets for the rest of his life. I'd almost feel bad for him if we were in a normal world, but I honestly don't know how he's managed to survive this long with such a light-hearted view of the reality that he's in. Maintaining innocence is what gets people killed. And
I like to imagine that
look at Vault 3.
when Daniel Graham, the Burn Man, was tossed down the canyon, the reason he survived is because he landed right in a patch of aloe. Oh, thank God, aloe, my burns! Ah, yes, save me, aloe.
Gratification in the act, but he felt like he was doing the right thing for the right people. Which, I don't know. I just wish they had fleshed out Joshua Graham a little more. Hell, I wish they would have fleshed out Honest Hearts more in general. It was just very straightforward, which isn't a bad thing by itself, but then when you combine it with the story of, this mean tribe is picking on these two other tribes, do we run or do we fight? I don't think that's good enough. I started this DLC
kind of feels like someone watched Dances with Wolves and was like, yeah, we can make a New Vegas DLC out of that. Yeah, we can do the White Savior narrative. Yeah.
That sounds pretty damn interesting.
Or I guess whatever race the player chooses to be, it isn't necessarily white. You can be any, whatever you want in New Vegas.
Apparently they had never
I made a character that looked like the Joker, like really white skin, super long chin.
With muskets before this.
Let me see if I can bring up the picture here.
I was thinking I'd at least get to go to New Canaan. It's just absurd to set me up with all of this intricate world building and background information and then just sweep the story's legs out from underneath it. The best part about this DLC was easily the environment, but it really wasn't enough for me to care more than a little about it.
Sneaking done. Fighting now.
Alright, let's talk about Crunchyroll.
Oh, God. What have I done? Oh.
So Crunchyroll is a site that's been around for a long-ass time now. And for
everyone knows about Crunchyroll. If you don't know about Crunchyroll, and you're watching my stream, then...
Alright, Old World Blues time.
I mean, that's okay. I'm not going to actually judge
time
you.
In this video out of
but I was
armor,
trying to think of something you need to say.
Dropping my Brotherhood armor anyways, but I really do like that +1 strength that's on it.
Right, where is
I guess it's not the end
New
of the world
Vegas
if I drop
picture?
it, but whatever. So Old World Blues begins with you stumbling upon a crashed satellite which activates around midnight. When you wait until then, it projects a beam of light, displaying a big fat eyeball moving around on an empty billboard across from the satellite. When you examine it, you wonk out in a Mothership Zeta fashion. Not quite as gravity beamish, but kind of along those lines. The slideshow that you're given explains to you that a bunch of 21st century scientists convened at a place called Big Mountain back in the day, with their tasks being to solve the world's problems. Many leaps forward in technology were made, but the world seemed to gear towards war, so they decided to start focusing on what they could do to help the planet in that regard instead. Well, the bombs eventually fell, and all of the scientists for the most part died off, with their experiments going dark with the rest of the Earth. Big Mountain, or Big Empty as it's known now, lies supposedly dormant. I wake up feeling heavier with surgical scars all over my body and a patient gown on. My only objective is probably
one of those Fridays, huh?
That I've ever received. Find out where the hell I am. Well, I'm
where are my New Vegas
kind of kitchen area with a little robot named Muggy. All of the machines here seem to be missing some kind of personality tape, so that's unique. But apparently I haven't seen anything yet as I stumble into the hands-down weirdest fucking encounter I've ever had in one of these games.
Are those penises I see wriggling on its feet?
display of fully erect hand penises. You're making us look like a collection of round earthers.
These guys are, robots with brains. And they refer to me as a lobotomite, constantly going on about how they removed my brain and how they're surprised
here
I
it
can
is.
understand them.
Found it.
I guess my brain has been replaced by Tesla coils, and I'm in some kind of pacification field that makes it so that I can't draw my weapon or
So
feel
yeah,
hostile in
doesn't
any
that kind of
sort
look like the
way.
Joker?
Yeah, I imagine being able to just start destroying shit in here would kind of ruin the DLC. At some point, this other RoboBrain person
Phoenix
starts
Slayer,
yammering over the monitor about how they're going to be overrunning
Phoenix
this
Slayer,
lab called the Think
ooh,
Tank with
hello.
Robo-Scorpions, and I'm
Give
just
me
doing my best to keep
huggy
up with all this
wuggies,
wacky nonsense. But I like it so far, and I gotta hand it to Obsidian. These are all certainly unique DLC areas. Also, these guys replaced my spine and heart, giving me further benefits.
Ooh.
Here I was worried about my +1 strength modifier. Ask and you shall receive, apparently. These new perks in the form of a new body are reminding me a lot of the Old Man's War series by John Scalzi. Great series of books if you haven't read them.
Whoosh! That is the sound of flushing.
Yeah, so my brain is now in the hands of the nut job who phoned in earlier, Dr. Mobius. I guess that's one of my main objectives now, as they want my help to stop him and get my brain back. Judging by the way they remarked on his message being always the same, I'd wager Mobius is either dead or having some kind of trouble, and his message has been repeating to these idiots ever since then. These guys want me to grab a bunch of technology for them since I have legs and hands and all that cool shit. Also, I can't leave because apparently the field outside will shut me off and I'll be transported back to the place where I started. But most importantly, these guys do not stop fucking talking.
I know what it is, Dollar. I want to know why it's down here. With its limbs all over everything.
You're always yelling. My receptors can't take it anymore.
And neither can my feelings.
I think he's sonjaculating into the gun.
Oh my god, is that... I think that's Greg... something, what's his name?
This is as long as a Metal Gear Solid cutscene, dude. Eventually they do stop though, and I'm free to start exploring the Big Empty properly. This place at first glance is nothing special. It seems to be a research base filled with metal pipes and stone structures with little patches of blue fake grass. But then you start stumbling upon the enemies. You got the standard Night Stalkers, but then you got these robot dogs who bark sonic waves at you. You got lobotomites who look like psychotic prison escapees. You got these weird skeleton things that are wearing these ridiculous Martian spacesuits. They're all pretty neat, and they keep me occupied on my jaunt from one facility to the next. The first facility that I wind up hitting houses 3 pieces of armor which form some kind of
trying to figure out...
futuristic
I don't like
stealths.
my chat
The
box. I
pieces
want
are
to
all
make
right there at the start, but you get the option to go further in for some
font
testing and upgrading.
bigger,
How
but...
can I resist? The tests themselves are the same run over and over, but with some added variables, which makes them a bit dull by the
Let me
third
see
or
if
so
this size
iteration,
is
but
good.
the rewards are so worth it. By the end of this
Yeah, that's
training,
a little
I've got
better. Now
suit
you can
with
actually
plus
read it.
25 sneak, plus 1 agility, plus 1 perception, and plus 20% attack speed.
I think it's a little squashed here.
I was attacked by Dr. Eggman's dumbass robotic Tonka truck scorpions partway through, but it was actually more amusing than intimidating, as it's supposed to be. These guys did a really good job of taking that cheesy mystery science theater type of movie and adapting it to Fallout, and I'm having a lot of fun so far. Well, the amusement continues as I hit the next couple of facilities to retrieve the stuff these guys want. The big satellite dish is nothing special and ends with more Fisher-Price scorpions popping out to try to zap me. Then the next facility teaches me how robo-dogs, the walking skeleton suits, and the robo-brains are made.
Who am I? I feel different, awake, alive for the first time ever.
Oh my gosh, that's Cam Clark.
This is a strange new world around me.
I'm almost certain that's Cam Clark.
Store for a dreamer such as myself.
Most of these facilities have various background information on the scientists who sent me on this mission, and what they were up to when they were still presumably human. And it's all pretty interesting and nonsensical shit that ramps up into Fisto levels of lighthearted comedy.
Richie likes balls.
But really, there isn't actually a ton of content here in terms of meaningful questing. What Obsidian did here was create a big sandbox filled with ridiculous things to explore, find, and interact with. If I had a mind to just crush the main quest of this DLC without talking to any of the robot scientists or doing any other exploring, I'd be done with this within an hour, I'd wager. But if you do want to extend your visit to the Big Empty, much of it is laced with searching around for these little personality chips which turn your living area into Pee-wee's Playhouse. You've got the book chute, which
Well,
annihilates
it's
books
Pee-wee.
and sounds oddly like Jerry Seinfeld.
Real
Pee-wee's
science by
Playhouse.
real men in lab coats has proved that introducing outside thoughts confuses the brain.
You got a jukebox which can upgrade your zappy gun with different sound waves. You got the robot named Muggy who only wants mugs to clean.
Dr. O was always jealous of house industries, and he thought it would be fucking hilarious to build a tiny neurotic Securitron. Big fucking laugh!
You got 2 separate light switches which enhance some of your abilities if you bask in their glow. You got an auto dock which can reset your build one time, change your appearance,
That
heal
is
you,
pretty
and
funny.
give you some really cool implants. You got the,
Yeah, all circuits online, ready to receive your seed.
The,
You got seeds? I'll clone the shit out of them.
sweet merciful fuck. You got the sink, which
Oh
is,
man, hentai bot.
It's just got water.
Hentai bot
You can
thirsty.
refill your bottles there too. And finally, you've got an average toaster.
I am online once again! A toaster is just a death ray with a smaller power supply.
Yes!
All small appliances. I fucking live for this! You want some weapon schematics? I can show you some fucking weapon schematics. You want a superheated Saturnite power fist? I can hook that shit up!
Again, this constant upgrading of the sink probably doubles the amount of time you'll be spending on the Old World Blues DLC. But this singular goal of restoring all of these psychotic robots in the sink
Teleboy and
actually has you covered in
Magikarp.
exploring most of the Big Empty for yourself. Quite a bit of it points you towards the adventures of Elijah and Christine. Elijah was out here doing his crazy guy research and found a concentration camp full of Chinese prisoner ghouls from the war. The soldiers here used explosive collars to keep their prisoners in line, which is where Elijah got the idea from. He also mentions the other courier a few times who I'll be meeting later. And he thinks he's being watched as he saw the glint of a sniper rifle scope out in the distance. Judging by Christine's armor lying here, I'd imagine she was the one who was tracking him at the time. Personally, I enjoyed seeing the different experiments happening in this loony bin, with my personal favorite enemies being these fucking crazy looking Securitrons and roaming corpse suits. These things came into existence because these geniuses here thought it would be a good idea to design autonomous suits that conform to human bodies in a way to help soldiers who are injured still fight, and or flee the battlefield. When it was found out that they still worked on dead people, it was actually marketed as a feature.
It's a
Speaking
feature.
of enemies, though, the difficulty of these foes are pretty brutal, and there's a lot of them. I honestly don't know if I would have made it through this without dying if I hadn't switched over to energy weapons, because these robots and Night Stalkers are no joke. Anyways, let's start getting to these scientists. They all have their own side quests and personalities, and they're all pretty eccentric in their own ways. Dr. Boreas is a loud scientist who talks like he's announcing a movie trailer at all times. He apparently has some issues with his past, particularly with high school, as he's taken all of the jealousy he felt during that time towards the popular kids and used that rage to experiment on all sorts of animals. He's almost certainly a textbook case of a psychopath, as he describes not only the fact that he created Cazadors and Night Stalkers, but that the scientists used to just unleash experiments on small and unsuspecting American towns just to see what would happen. He does have a bit of a character arc when he starts to feel a deep sense of regret for turning his own dog into an experiment specimen, and starts to regret being in Big Empty at all.